And welcome back. The 2019 NFL Draft is officially in the books. 254 picks were made in 3 days. Clemson had 6 Tigers get their names called, and the Gamecocks get 3 players drafted. But there was more movement after the draft, too. We're going to break it all down, and we start at home. Columbia native Christian Miller, elimination Sunday in Oxford in the NCAA tournament. The Clemson Tigers needed to win twice in order to keep their season alive. The Tigers facing Jacksonville State. Jordan Green wrote boomstick on his left arm because the Tigers needed to bring the boomsticks, but they forgot them on this one. Trey Kirkland brought his. And welcome back, where you would think after a long football season that ends with a perfect record and a national championship that Clemson would get the best food the White House could buy. Well, they did. The best President Trump could do on his own dime was a spread of fast food served on silver platters. The Tigers had Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, Domino's Pizza, fries, and salad in their visit to the White House. No one thought President Trump was serious. And welcome back to News 19. Joe Cook here with some college basketball news. He's been a coach at Wofford for 30 years and a head coach for 17. And now Mike Young is reportedly moving on. Reports have come out from the upstate that Wofford head coach Mike Young is headed to Virginia Tech. It was reported that he interviewed to be the Hokies head coach over the weekend, and a deal was put in place on Sunday. And welcome back. News broke minutes ago that Dawn Staley, she will be losing 3 players from her program, and the biggest of all might be Kiki Herbert-Harrigan. But Bianca Jackson and Kiki Herbert-Harrigan, they plan to transfer. LaDasia Williams, she has been granted a release from her scholarship. Now, Dawn has a top recruiting class in the country coming in, but big losses still for USC, especially Kiki and Bianca, who would have been veterans to lead a young and talented group next season, but that is not the case. We'll have more on this story on WLTX.com, and of course tonight at 11. Good morning. The Bojangles Bash highlights some of the top players in the Midlands and in the country in their annual showcase at Ridgeview High School. But tonight, one player stole the show and was a highlight of the night. He's not a top recruit, but he's the most important player you never heard of. Xavier Major is a senior on the Ridgeview basketball team and has special needs. But with the help of his teammates and the Ridgeview coaches, he had a game to remember tonight. He entered the game in the 4th quarter with the Blazers up big against Laurel Richland. His teammates got a rebound and gave it to Xavier, and he scored on his very first shot. The place went nuts, and rightly so. You see the reaction from all the students. And this is his first year playing varsity sports at Ridgeview, and the first time in the Bowl Bash. And Xavier wasn't done. He scored the last bucket of the game as well, and they celebrated with Xavier as if they won the state championship. Ridgeview won by a wide margin, but those 4 points by Xavier were major.
X is a very special young man. He brings a lot of excitement, energy within our team. He's brought our team a little closer together. Last year we became a family. Now we add somebody else, and he's really helped us to bond, to become a really tight-knit family. Big X is like our little mascot. He's the one that's been driving us throughout the summer and in the fall coming to our workouts. He's very motivated, a special kid for us here at Ridgeview. Most definitely the best is played. This is his senior year of high school, so first time he's been able to make a team at the varsity level. 4 points, some big buckets there at the end, so we're really proud of him.
Of course, a lot of people will be cheering for Xavier and the Blazers this year. Ridgeview won the state title last season, so no doubt they'll want Xavier to score in that state final. And welcome back. The 2019 NFL Draft is officially in the books. 254 picks were made in 3 days. Clemson had 6 Tigers get their names called, and the Gamecocks get 3 players drafted. But there was more movement after the draft, too. We're going to break it all down, and we start at home. Columbia native Christian Miller is coming back home to the Carolinas. The Panthers selected the former Spring Valley Viking and Alabama defensive lineman in the 4th round. Christian overcame injuries like a torn bicep, but he was able to return to the playing field. He was still a big piece of Nick Saban's defense. He won a national title in 2017, and in 2018, he posted 8.5 sacks and 11.5 tackles for loss. Here's what the Panthers GM says about Miller time in Charlotte.
He's an excellent football player. Had 8.5 sacks in around 400 snaps last year. I think, if he's been going through a hamstring, he went through a hamstring early in the offseason process, that might have contributed some to him being available to where we picked him. But we're really happy to get him. I mean, he's got length. He knows how to rush the passer. He can dip and bend. He makes plays. And as you can see by his stats last year, I mean, he's just he's a really good football player, and it'll help again. Rushing the passer. That was one of the things we wanted to do is address that, and I think we did that in this draft.
And the Panthers picked the hometown kid in West Virginia, quarterback Will Grier, at the 100th pick. Will was one of the more highly rated quarterbacks in this draft. He played high school ball at Davidson Day right there in Charlotte, with Cam Newton recovering from off-season surgery. This is a great insurance pick for Carolina. Will and Cam have already been texting, and they are both looking forward to pushing each other in camp. Will says he brings a lot to the Panthers.
One of the more important traits of many. I think I definitely bring accuracy to the table, but everything else really about playing quarterback. I try to be as well-rounded as possible. I've played in a lot of different systems, played in a lot of different places, it feels like, different teams, and I've done a little bit of everything. So I'm excited to kind of play my role here, whatever that may be. I'm going to be ready to go and try my best to help this team win.
And the Panthers picked another Colombian native. USC offensive lineman Dennis Daly was picked in the 6th round, going 212th overall. Dennis played at Ridgeview High School and transferred to South Carolina after playing 2 seasons at Georgia Military College. The 6'5", 317-pound offensive lineman started 23 games at left tackle at Carolina. They love that he can play multiple positions on the O-line, so Dennis and Christian Miller will get their chance to play pro ball right up on I-77. And the second Gamecock to get his name called on the final day of the NFL draft is defensive back Rashad Fenton. Rashad was a 6th-round draft choice of the Kansas City Chiefs, going 201st overall. He got the nickname Fenton Island after a great 2017 season. He led USC with 3 interceptions last year, was considered their best cover corner. He also played nickel and safety. In 4 years, the Miami native played in 48 games and made 30 starts in the garnet and black.
I hope our guys all get an opportunity. And again, just because you get drafted don't mean you're going to make it. You've got to start over and put the work in. And I think our guys are well prepared to go compete at that level.
And Dabo's a happy coach today. New contract and former players getting drafted on day 3. All of the Power Rangers on the Clemson's defensive front were drafted. Austin Bryant went in the 4th round to the Detroit Lions, going 117th overall. Bryant was first-team All-American in 2017 and 13th All-ACC last year. In 2 seasons, he generated 30.5 tackles for loss and 17 sacks, and he's going to Detroit. John Gruden picks the old man out of Clemson. That's right, Hunter Renfrow goes 149th overall in the 5th round to the Raiders. He's the 3rd Clemson player drafted by the Raiders. So this may be the Oakland Tigers or Vegas Tigers, the way this draft went for Clemson. A lot of people had Hunter as a Patriots draft pick because he doesn't look like your typical receiver, but he just gets it done. Hunter made 47 starts in 55 games at Clemson, caught 15 touchdowns, none bigger than that buzzer beater against Alabama in 2017 for the national title. He'll bring his timely playmaking and wealth of experience to Oakland, where he joins Cleveland Farrell and Trayvon Mullen. Now let's take a look at how the draft panned out. Clemson had 5 or more players drafted for the 5th time in 6 years. The only other schools to do that, Alabama and Ohio State. Cleveland Farrell is the top pick, going 4th overall to the Raiders, tying a program record for the highest pick. 3 USC players get drafted, led by Deebo Samuel, 2nd-round pick to my 49ers. Former Presbyterian defensive back Rock Yassin went 34th to the Colts. He played his final year at Temple. And J.J. Arcega-Whiteside out of Dorman went 57th overall to the Eagles. And the 2 locals, Christian Miller and Dennis Daly, are NFL draftees going to Carolina. And there were a lot more calls made when the draft was over, as a number of prospects received undrafted free agent contracts. Some local products will get their shot at an NFL roster. Dutch Fort product Matt Colburn signed with the LA Rams tonight. Matt played at Wake Forest after having his Louisville scholarship pulled days before National Signing Day, but he ran the ball very well at Wake Forest. The 2014 Mr. South Carolina ran for 243 yards against Louisville. In 4 years, the Irmo native produced over 2,500 yards and 15 TDs. Matt Colburn will be one of 6 running backs for the Rams once camp starts, so a lot of competition for snaps, but he will get a shot. Orangeburg Wilkinson product and former Clemson defensive lineman Albert Huggins signed a deal with the Houston Texans. He didn't get drafted even though he was rated as a top 20 defensive tackle by ESPN, but Albert will reunite with his old teammate Deshaun Watson and Carlos Watkins on the defensive line. DeAndre Hopkins and DJ Reader are the other Clemson Tigers in Houston, so Big Al will have a welcome committee. Albert waited his turn at Clemson and he started in the college football playoff when Dexter Lawrence was suspended. He had 6 tackles. He posted 30 tackles as a senior. He made 4 starts in his career at Clemson. Now he's headed to Houston. And former USC offensive lineman Zach Bailey will be in Tampa Bay for camp. He signed with the Bucs. If you remember, Zach suffered a broken leg late last season. That might have deterred teams from drafting him, but the 2018 All-SEC second-team pick and former All-Freshman team selection will have an opportunity to show his skill set. The 6'6", 314-pounder out of Somerville can play all over the line and was USC's most experienced lineman. Saturday was championship day at Irmo High School, where they are hosts for the Lacrosse State Championships. In the 5A girls finals, Chapin is back in the title game for the 3rd straight year. They lost their last 2 appearances to Bishop England in 4A, but this is their first time in the 5A final. They face Fort Mill for the championship. Beautiful day out there at Irmo. And Sadie Salazar on the attack for Chapin early on. She shoots and scores. The Eagles on the board first. No better way to start this championship game than after a foul call on Fort Mill. Annie Ellison is looking for a goal in the restart, and she gets it. Chapin would go up 3-1 in the first quarter, but the Yellow Jackets, they would rally to take a 5-4 lead at halftime. So Chapin needed a comeback, and they get it. Jordan Green, the senior, finds Shannon Reichner, the senior. To senior connection is good for a goal, and Chapin comes all the way back to win 9-6. 3rd time is the charm for the Eagles. They win their first lacrosse state title. They get the 5A crown their first year at that level. What's even better, Chapin finishes with the perfect season, going 16-0. Congrats to the Chapin Eagles. And that's all I have for sports. So we'll be right back after this break. South Carolina, if you are a Duke fan, go ahead and just take a deep breath and exhale this morning. There was March Madness in Colonial Life Arena on Sunday night as the number 9 seed UCF took on number 1 overall seed Duke, and guess what? UCF almost pulled off the upset. As we see the highlight of the game from Zion Williamson, he tied the game at 34 all in the first half. More from Zion, a Spartanburg day. He gets the and 1. He had 32 points in this one. Duke up by 8 at halftime. But in the second half, Duke down by 3. Guess what? Zion hitting threes. You don't see that too often. But here come the Knights. B.J. Taylor with a big 3 of his own. UCF up by 2. Johnny Dawkins likes it as he's going up against his former coach and Coach K. And Taylor, he misses. But they said it was bounced off the rim and Taco Fall with the slam. UCF up by 4 with 2 minutes left. Taco with 15 points. Then Zion Williamson with the clock winding down gets the and 1 on Taco. Both players have 4 fouls. Taco would sit with 5 after that. Zion trying to give Duke the lead. He misses, but R.J. Barrett is there for the follow, and Duke is up by 1. Last chance for UCF. Aubrey Dawkins, he had 32 points, can't make it 34. It's his putback, rims out. Duke survives. They win it 77-76 as they advance to the Sweet 16. Here's Zion after the huge win in Columbia.
Called March Madness for a reason.